Hello, Mike.
Hi, Lilu.
It's good to connect with you in those beautiful, amazing woods of Michigan.
It's just wonderful to be here with you.
Oh, thank you. Tell me about yoga, because I know you've been practicing yoga for a while, and I'm interested to hear about the philosophy of yoga. Is there such a thing?
Yes.
Yeah? What are they? What is it?
The philosophy of yoga was put forth by a sage named Patanjali about 1,500 years ago. So yoga had been taught and handed down through the ages, person to person, without being written down like so many cultures. Finally, Patanjali, the sage, put forth what yoga is. He wrote 96 sutras that are like threads. A sutra means threads.
Yeah.
That describes what yoga is. And he said yoga has 8 limbs.
Limbs? What are limbs?
Like a limb of a tree.
Yeah.
So each limb is a part of the tree, and one is not more important than the other, but they all together are part of the tree and necessary and important.
So it's like the foundation of yoga.
And that's what he termed yoga is. So 8 means Ashtanga, and so you've heard of Ashtanga yoga.
Yeah.
That's a takeoff from Patanjali's philosophy. But essentially the 8 limbs are, there's 4 limbs on this side. I like to separate the 4, and 4 on this side. So the first 2 are the yamas, number 1. Number 2 is the niyamas.
What is that?
So the yamas and niyamas, these are Sanskrit terms that stand for, if you will, like the 10 Commandments. You shouldn't steal, be clean, don't hurt anybody, ahimsa, do no harm, show compassion, like that. Those are the first 2 limbs. The third limbs are the asanas, the postures that we all know and what most people think of as yoga.
Yeah.
And of course I'm going to hopefully explain to you that yoga is much more than just doing some asanas or postures.
We forget that.
Yes, because, I mean, how would that make you a better person if you just were stretching and doing exercises?
Good point. Whereas
yoga promises to lead you to less suffering and perhaps even enlightenment. So the 4th limb then is breathing, called pranayama. Prana is breath, prana is energy, prana is spirit. So every time you inhale, you're infusing your body with breath, spirit, and energy. Those prepare you for the other 4 limbs. The other 4 are pratyahara, where you begin the meditative process. Pratyahara is pulling away from the external world. Dharana is the next step. That's intense concentration. Then you come to the 7th limb of dhyana. And dhyana is in a meditative state. So yoga, when you're in the postures, you're in moving meditation. It's good to do your yoga with your eyes closed, breathing deep, long, and full, meditating, and perchance you may slip into the 8th limb of samadhi. And samadhi is where you want to be.
Is that enlightenment, or?
So, yes, samadhi is achieving the state of superconsciousness, the state of connecting with the divine, being one with the divine.
The state of bliss?
With everything.
So the postures is not really it. I mean, most of us focus just on the postures when we're doing yoga, but that's not, we're missing a big, big chunk.
Yes, that's one of the 8 limbs.
Yeah.
And people are drawn to yoga because of the asanas, the postures, and that's good.
Yeah.
So you start there,
and
then you learn that it's so much more. Just the breathing in itself, that limb can be explored, and there's tombs this thick on how to breathe in yoga. There's all kinds of ways to breathe. And just breathing alone, you can just sit and breathe, and you're doing yoga. What Patanjali said yoga was, in Sanskrit, is yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuation of the mind. That is, yoga is just quieting the mind. So if you're sitting and breathing, you're doing yoga.
So how is that more efficient than meditation?
Well, that again, so you're combining the asanas and the pranayama, and it takes you to the other stages of yoga. The pratyahara, pulling away from the external world, you're going inside, and you're going deeper and deeper, and you get glimpses of samadhi. And if you practice yoga long enough, if you become a sage, then perhaps you could stay in the state of samadhi for extended periods of time.
So what is a yogi? A yogi? A yogi is somebody that practices yoga? Is that what it is? Or is it
Yes.
a teacher, or what is it?
A yogi is just somebody who practices yoga. A yogini is a female. A yogi is a male.
So where are we taking this from there in our culture? Is that evolving too? Are we learning? Is that evolving? Or are we just trying to learn from those ancient texts and bringing that back alive again and finding finally their meaning?
Okay, that's some heavy questions.
Yeah.
Good questions. It seems to be expanding, exploding, if you will, especially in California. And yoga is now being accepted by so many different peoples, cultures, and places. Yoga is used, of course, by many different sports teams, football teams,
Yeah.
basketball teams, baseball teams. It's in fact required by some of them. The interesting thing I think about yoga is that the yogis were contemplatives. And they, just by contemplating, were able to discover everything that we know now in quantum physics without using the atom smasher or the mass spectrometer and the, of course, very expensive equipment that we have now. And they have divined and discovered what we know today about the nature of the quantum world, the very small, and the way the universe really is. And another thing that I like about yoga is that it really is a journey of self-discovery. So while you're doing your yoga, steeped in a pose, breathing long, smooth, deep, you become relaxed, you go inside, and you start looking and listening and feeling. You're not informed of who you are by your parents, teachers, clergy, and all the people in the external world. They try to tell you who you are, and you don't really know who you are. It's confusing sometimes. So to discover who you really are, it's good to do yoga. Go inside, look, listen, allow, and accept who you are. And you'll discover that you're truly a beautiful person.
And there's different stages, I guess, in your progression and evolution of yoga. I mean, how long have you been practicing yoga for?
I've been practicing 12 to 14 years, teaching about 10.
And did you see like different big steps? Because when you're beginning, at least, there's like this big hump of, oh my God, this hurts and this is uncomfortable. Is that always stays here, or for you now when you practice, you're at a different level? I mean, how do you progress in the yoga practice?
Everybody has their own path,
Yeah.
is on their own journey, and they progress at different rates.
Yeah.
Initially, I was the, gung-ho, amped up doing the heavy-duty power yoga,
Yeah.
and I was into the asanas,
Yeah.
and I became aware of the philosophy, and it was only gradually that the philosophy started to make more meaning for me in my life.
Yeah.
And then when I really incorporated the philosophy into my yoga, and then it really like blossomed and opened up, and then it's like, wow, it opened up a whole new world.
Yeah.
And so it's much more than the asanas. And there are times if you have injuries and you don't feel really good,
Yeah.
you can still do yoga. You can always do yoga. If you can sit and breathe, you can do yoga. So there are times when that's all you want and that's all you need to do. So you really need to check the ego, Stop thinking that you have to
Yeah.
perform like the people you see on the magazines or in the class.
Yeah.
And just get into your own self,
Yeah.
your own yoga.
You had few heart attacks.
I had 4 heart attacks.
And how did yoga play a role in all of that, in you surviving, you know?
I began the yoga teacher training after I had open heart surgery and had a quad bypass. That was after, I believe, the 3rd heart attack. And it opened up worlds for me. It was like, stop being so external and push and race and try to accomplish. Yes, I was A-type. For me, it was like, move or get out of the way. And yoga allowed me to slow down. And it was really, really helpful as in helping, because I went through heart failure where my heart was failing and my ejection fraction was 14%, and I could have been on the list for a heart transplant, but I decided, no, I have my yoga. And so I've restored myself to excellent health.
The doctors must have been surprised, no? They told you how long were you going to live for?
Yeah, they mentioned that I had possibly 5 years. That was about 6.5 years ago. So.
And you're here.
I'm here, and I'm actually getting better, stronger, and healthier all the time.
And there's nothing that you cannot do.
I play golf. I occasionally hit the golf ball 300 yards. I ride my bike with my girlfriend 30 miles at times, up hills, down hills. That would be 50 miles if you straighten it out.
That's very
we
inspiring.
kayak, we play, we have a good time. Yeah, I don't have any limitations as far as I know. Other than the average person, you get tired.
Yeah.
So I get tired.
Yeah.
I rest and I do it again.
So do you have any recommendation or call to action for anybody watching this regarding yoga or regarding your heart, you know, a condition that you had or whatever calls to you right now to say or share with us?
I've done a lot of workshops. I've worked with people who've had cardiac incidents, and I would recommend that anybody, first of all, yoga is good for everybody, anybody, no matter who you are. But it's especially good for people with fibromyalgia, any cardiac incidents. Well, actually, for anything, yoga is
Go
the
yoga.
panacea.
I'm going to call you Mikey Baba. Mikey Nanda.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Lilu.